Think back to the year 2004. The mobile phone landscape was an absolute Wild West. Nokia was the undisputed king. BlackBerry was conquering the corporate world, and smartphones as we know them today didn't exist. Back then, your phone did two things. It made calls and it sent texts. If you were lucky, it had a horribly pixelated version of Snake installed. But a massive cultural shift was happening. The Apple iPod was exploding in popularity. Young people everywhere wanted their music with them at all times. But this created a frustrating daily problem. If you wanted to leave the house, your pockets were completely overloaded. You had to carry your chunky mobile phone and a separate MP3 player, along with a tangled mess of headphone wires. It was annoying. It was inconvenient. And tech companies knew whoever solved this problem would own the future. Enter Sony Ericsson, a joint partnership that was about to pull off one of the most brilliant marketing hijacks in tech history. In 2001, Sony and Swedish telecom giant Ericsson merged their phone divisions to stay alive. For a few years, they made decent standard phones, but in 2005, they struck absolute gold. Sony realized they owned one of the most powerful, nostalgic brand names in audio history, the Walkman. They decided to do something radical, slap that iconic W branding right onto a mobile phone. In August of 2005, they unleashed the Sony Ericsson W800EI. It didn't look like anything else on the market. It was a bold, unapologetic matte white with vibrant neon orange accents. And it wasn't just a cheap marketing gimmick. Sony actually engineered this thing for music lovers. It had a dedicated Walkman button that launched your playlist instantly, even if the phone was locked. It featured a revolutionary user interface for managing tracks, megabass audio processing, and it came packaged with high-quality, in-ear orange headphones that put standard phone speakers to absolute shame. Suddenly, having a Walkman phone in high school was the ultimate status symbol. Sony Ericsson dominated youth culture almost overnight, selling millions of units and releasing iconic follow-ups like the W810i and the ultra-sleek W880i. They proved that a phone didn't have to just be a tool, it could be an extension of your lifestyle. But Sony Ericsson wasn't satisfied with just owning the music market. Next, they looked at the front of the device, and more importantly, the back. Digital cameras were booming, and mobile phone cameras of the era were notoriously terrible. They were blurry, slow, and completely useless in the dark. So, Sony dipped into their ecosystem once again, borrowing the branding from their premium digital camera line. Cybershot. In 2006, they launched the K800EI. This phone was a masterpiece of industrial design. On the front, it looked like a sleek business phone, but turn it over, and it looked exactly like a real digital camera. It featured a premium, active sliding lens cover. The second you slid that metal cover down, the camera app snapped open instantly. It boasted a massive, for the time, 3.2 megapixel sensor, autofocus, and a genuine xenon flash, the exact same flash technology used in standalone cameras. But in the tech world, arrogance is a death sentence. Sony Ericsson was making billions, and they got comfortable. They became obsessed with their own ecosystem. They forced users to buy their expensive proprietary memory stick micro cards instead of standard micro SD cards. Their charging and headphone ports were a massive, clunky proprietary design that broke easily. More importantly, they were so focused on perfecting physical buttons, sliding camera covers, and retro features that they completely missed the horizon. The year was 2007. Steve Jobs walked onto a stage in California and pulled the original iPhone out of his pocket. It had no physical keypad, no sliding lenses, and a massive glass touchscreen. The rules of the game had changed instantly. Sony Ericsson tried to fight back. They scrambled to adapt, eventually dropping the Ericsson partnership entirely in 2011 so Sony could take full control and launch the Xperia smartphone lineup. They tried reviving the Walkman and Cybershot brands as apps inside Android, and they even released the ambitious Xperia Play, a phone with a slide-out PlayStation controller. But the magic was gone. Samsung and Apple had already captured the premium smartphone market, and the world had moved on. Today, modern smartphones are incredibly powerful, but let's be honest, they all look like identical, boring glass slabs. The era of Sony Ericsson reminds us of a time when tech companies took massive risks, when designs were loud and experimental, and when phones actually had soul. If you were lucky enough to slide open one of those neon orange Walkman phones or click open a Cybershot lens back in the day, you know that mobile tech has never been quite as fun since. Thanks for watching this archive deep dive. Which Sony Ericsson model did you own? Let me know in the comments and hit that follow button for the next legendary tech breakdown. Modern tech might be powerful, but it will never be as chaotic or exciting as the era we left behind. If you love unlocking these hidden tech histories and looking back at the brands that shaped our world, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the business archives. Drop your favorite nostalgic tech memories in the comments below.